Hello everyone. This video will show how to sketch the graph of trigonometric functions in transformed form. Now let's go over this first example. So in this example, we're given the function 2 cosine 3 pi quantity x minus 4 plus 1. Please remember that our 2 here is the amplitude A. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down here. Please also remember that this one right here will represent as the midline D. So I can go ahead and write it down here. So our midline is at y equals 1. Again, that is represented by D. Please also remember that this 3 pi here is our B. Now let's go ahead and determine the phase shift or the starting point of one cycle graph of this function. So the starting point or the phase shift can be solved by setting up this part right here equal to 0 and solve for x. So that is x minus 4 equals 0 and we can solve for x from there. So this will be our phase shift. The next step that we need to do is to determine the period. So the formula for period is 2 pi over b. So in our problem right here, our b is 3 pi. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. So that's 2 pi over 3 pi. We can go ahead and cross out pi and pi. Our period then is 2/3. The next step that we need to do is to determine the end point. End point is the end point of one cycle of the graph. So the formula for the endpoint is the phase shift or the starting point plus the period. So pretty much these two right here. So I can go ahead and put the plug in the values here. Since they don't have the same denominator, I can go ahead and multiply the first one by 3 over 3 so that our equation would come out. So our endpoint is at 14 over 3. So that we can go ahead and plot these values here. So we're going to plot the starting point first, which is 4. So we can go ahead and assume that this is where the 4 is. And then our endpoint is 14 over 3. So it's going to be down here. Now we can go ahead and divide this into 5 points. So we get the middle of these two, we get the middle of these two, and we get the middle of these two. So let's go ahead and determine the values for each of these so that it's easier to determine these points right here. If we can have them in the same denominator, then that would be easier to do. So this 4 can be written as 12 over 3. Because pretty much 12 over 3 is 4. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to 12 over 3. So the next thing that we need to do is to determine the value for this. So we can do this if we add these two and multiply this by 1/2. So that would be 12 plus 14 is 26 over 3. Because they have a common denominator. So we're adding these two and we're multiplying this by 1/2. So that this would come out. 2 and 2 gets crossed out. So that is 13. So pretty much this is 13 over 3. Now let's have the next middle here. So we're going to add 12 over 3 plus 13 over 3. So that would come out 25 over 3. And then we again multiply that by 1/2. So this would come out 25 times 1 is 25. And that is over 6. So this middle right here is 25 over 6. Next, we're going to determine this other middle right here, middle dot. So we're going to add again 13 over 3 plus 14 over 3 is 27 over 3. We multiply this by 1/2 so that we can get the middle. So this is 27 over 6. We're now ready to sketch the midline. So the midline is at y equals 1. So this is the y-axis. This is 1 right here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the midline up here. On the midline, we are going to put the dots. Now, please remember that this is how the sine and cosine graph look like. So in this problem here, we're looking for cosine, so it's gonna look like this. So what we do right now is we are going to remember that our amplitude is 2. So this is gonna go up 2 from the midline. So 1, 2. So this is where it's gonna start. So we can go ahead and draw the curve here. And then from here, we go down 2, because again, the amplitude was 2, so that's 1, 2. So this is where it's gonna go. Now again, it goes up to 2, so that's 1, 2. So it's gonna go up all the way here. So this is the graph of this given function that we have up there.